This video is for section 9-5 about common logarithms. Our place value number system is based on powers of 10. Therefore, logarithms that have base 10 are called common logarithms. And they're the most used type of logarithms in science or finance applications. It is typical to write these expressions without showing the base. So just writing log 5 means log base 10 of 5. Common logarithms of powers of 10 are easy to evaluate. Log of 1 is equal to 0. Well, how come? Well, the base of the common logarithm, even though it's not shown, is base 10. Imagine a little 10 down here in the corner. And to evaluate a logarithm, like to find what it's equal to, you ask 10 to what power makes 1, and that's why it's 0, because 10 to the 0 is 1. Or this next one, what is the log of 10? Well, the base of a common log, if there's nothing shown, is automatically a little 10 in this spot. So you would say 10 to what power makes 10, and that's why it equals 1. Okay, there's 2 to fill in the notes. Why is log of 100 equal to 2? Well, what's the base of this logarithm, even though the number's not shown? It's base 10. What's the power you put up in the corner? It's a 2. And 10 squared is 100. What about this last one? Why is the log of 1/10 equal to -1? And the reason is because 10 to the -1 power is equal to 1/10. To evaluate logarithms of other numbers, the textbook we're using talks about using a reference table. This is a really old textbook, before modern calculators. So to figure out what logarithms were equal to, mathematicians had to look up numbers in charts. We don't have to do that. We have calculators that will automatically find us the logarithms. So to evaluate a number like log of 23.5, use your calculator and just press the button that's called log and type 23.5 and hit enter. I'll pause the video for you to try that. And the result, if you round it to just a few of the decimal places, is 1.37. Recall that the inverse of the logarithm function is called an exponential function. To indicate an inverse logarithm in symbols, we write log with a little -1 up in the corner. We discussed that -1 symbol meaning inverse in a previous lesson. Our textbook doesn't use this symbol as much as it uses the word antilog. So antilog simply means the inverse of a log. Here's an example of this. Unfortunately, there's a blank spot on the video, but it probably shows up on your paper. I think it's the letter X in the blank spot. If log of x is equal to the number a, then the x is called the antilog of a. Let's do an example. Find the antilog of 9.8370. Antilog means the same thing as log inverse. And that means the same thing as 10 to the x power. On our calculator, we have a button called 10 to the x. That's the button you use whenever you want to do an inverse log. It happens to be the same button on the calculator as the log button. It's just that you have to push the green key first. So please find the inverse log of 9.8370. I'll pause the video for you to do that. It's a really big number. My calculator says 6870684400. If you put some commas in coming from the right, it helps you to read the number. That number is over 6 billion. Well, why is it so big? It's because when you find the antilog of this 9.8370 number, what you're really figuring out is what is 10 to that exponent. If you multiply 10 by itself more than 9 times, you're going to get a large number. Next example. Unfortunately, I see a blank spot in my video. I think that just says log. Hopefully your paper's fine. Find log inverse of 10,000. If we try to do that on the calculator by using the 10 to the x key and then putting in 10,000 as the exponent, this is going to make an error. Our calculator cannot find a value that large. But we can still write the answer out. The inverse log of 10,000 is 10 to the 10,000 power. Let's summarize this lesson. We discussed the most commonly used type of logarithm. It's a logarithm that's base 10. And we said that if you ever see the word log, L-O-G, with no little number in the bottom corner, then you can assume that it means a base 10 logarithm. And that is the kind of logarithm that there's a button for on the calculator. We also discussed how to find the inverse of a logarithm using the button on the calculator for inverse. That button is 10 to the x on this brand of calculator. On another brand of calculator, you might see the button called log inverse. These mean the same thing.